Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me today. Let's talk about simplicity today and direct approaches. Let's do that. You may have heard that A Course in Miracles is a direct approach. Oh, it is. So, wherever you find yourself, whether you're a very, very experienced practitioner of this course, or whether you're new or just checking it out, or even if you don't study A Course in Miracles, welcome. We're going to talk today about some foundational basics of it, which is a good conversation for all of us, especially those of us that are experienced students, because we find on any spiritual path, and this is true of all of life, isn't it? That the thousandth time we hear an idea, maybe the time that the light goes on and we get it because we've heard it before. But here in spirituality, the popular culture attitude of that's so yesterday. I'm bored with that. Really doesn't serve us at all. Because as adult learners, quite clearly, we need to see things and hear things multiple times. So spirituality is no different than all other aspects of life. So let's talk about something very foundational. You have a choice right now between two thought systems. One, the thought system of our inner teacher, the Holy Spirit, which is expressed here in A Course in Miracles. It's taught here in the course, which is a self-study curriculum. The other option is the thought system of the ego. In other words, separation, where we mistakenly assume that we're a separate human being, separate from all other human beings, and there appear to be 8 billion plus of us, plus all of the other existing life forms here on this spinning ball of rock that orbits a star, apparently, and wobbles on its axis, and all of that that we've taken to be home, home sweet home. It's the world of separation that you wish to move away from, or you would not be here. We're all here for one fundamental reason. We have heard the call of our inner teacher, which goes out to everyone at all times. You're here because you have answered it. Not all answer it at once, do they? Because there are plenty of people here in the world that are not interested in spirituality at all, much less a direct approach. So let's say some more about that. We have this choice between two thought systems, that of the Holy Spirit, which is expressed here, again, in A Course in Miracles, or the ego. Both thought systems are perfectly logical, very interesting. The ego has a sense of logic and follows this to its own conclusion, which is utter confusion, chaos, and the dissatisfaction that you've felt in your experience, which has led you to spirituality. Another way of saying this is all of the things here in the world don't satisfy us. And I mean satisfy not on a temporary basis, but eternally. And they don't satisfy us because they're not true. They're not real. They are illusion. That includes the world itself. And yes, that includes this communication device, this thing that we see when we look in the mirror. And none of it is who we are, and we all know this, or we would not be on this thing that we call the spiritual path. So both thought systems employ logic. Here's the difference, and we're invited to learn the difference. The Holy Spirit speaks for truth and nothing but truth. That's why, in A Course in Miracles, the Holy Spirit is often referred to as the voice for God, among other things, in fact. And in truth, there are so many different names for the Holy Spirit, even here in the Course, that I'm fond of saying that you can call your inner teacher whatever you want. I mean, call it Bill or Mike or Susan if you wish. Those are all simply names. Here's the deal: the Holy Spirit is part of our mind. It is not an outside force, it is not an outside power. So if you're reluctant to relax and trust the guidance of our inner teacher, fearing that you'll be ceding power and control to some unknown, mysterious outside force, this is known and it is not mysterious. It's part of you, it's part of our mind. That part that will show us what to do, what to say, that will teach us if only we let it. So we have this choice. We could follow the ego, we could follow the world's goals, thinking that separation is everywhere. And it's circular. It's a hamster wheel, isn't it? It leads us back to the same state of dissatisfaction over and over again. And what we find, and it's true, this is what we do find, and let's all be really perfectly honest with ourselves here, is that we're seeking the peace of God because that's all anyone ultimately wants. Ultimately, that's all there is. But we're looking for it in the world that appears to be outside us. We're looking for it in pleasures of the physical body. The more mass media we consume, the more we seek these pleasures of the physical body. And the more we seek things to make the body look cool, like clothes and a new house, a fancy car, travel experiences, all of the stuff here in the world. And the thing about it that we all know, but refuse to accept is that none of this stuff lasts. It is not the peace of God, which is eternal. A beautiful romantic partnership doesn't last forever. It's not eternal. Even if you're happily married, I'm happily married, but it's not going to last forever. Hello, right? We need these wake up calls with ourselves. I'm fond of saying that spirituality is an adult endeavor. It is. It is. It's for grown-ups. You're a grown-up. That's why you're here. So take that however you wish to take it. Our inner teacher has a message for us today and every day. And that is that you have the power of choice right now. The world's goals are nothing. They lead to nothing, and the ego, should you choose to follow it as your guide, is totally confused. That's why we seem to spin our wheels, looking for the peace of God in a shiny new object that is unable to deliver the peace of God. We may get some temporary peace and beautiful satisfaction. I mean, it may be hot, sexy, and juicy satisfaction. I don't know. Could be, but it is not lasting. It's not eternal. So we're invited to follow the guidance of the Holy Spirit and learn to differentiate between truth and illusion. Remember, the Holy Spirit speaks for truth and only truth. It's very simple. So, a fundamental law of mind is that our thoughts have all of the power that we give them. So, what we create or what we make has all the power that we give it. This is a fundamental point of A Course in Miracles worth spending some time on. What we create are our loving thoughts. Those are true, and nothing else is true. In fact, it's the only thing that can even be said to be true here on Spinning Ball of Rock. The only thing that can even be said to exist here are our loving thoughts. The Course uses the verb to create in reference to extending love. Now, on the other hand, we have what we refer to as projection, where we project our guilt and fear onto our brother, to other people. We feel guilt and fear in our mind, guilt over the supposed separation, which never took place and is in fact impossible. You're not separate from God. God is. Only God is. In other words, God is the only reality. How simple is that? Yet, how willing are you to accept that just as it is? If you're encountering resistance, no, not a problem. It comes up. It's of the ego, all of it. So simply understand that. We can't handle our own guilt and fear, so we project it. We literally try to get it away from ourselves, so we attempt to put it off on our brother. It's the government's fault. It's the opposition political party's fault. It's the weather's fault. It's my ex's fault. Things like that. That's projection. We have a choice in the present moment to either extend love or follow the ego and project. That which we extend or project, our choice, at our election, our conscious election choice, that which we extend or project becomes real for us, and we will cherish it. We've simply chosen incorrectly, mistakenly, just a simple mistake. Yet we've identified with this simple mistake and have chosen to defend it to the death. We would literally rather die than awaken. Yet death is in fact impossible. Spirit doesn't die, it's eternal. Now, this, on the other hand, yeah, of course, that it's highly fallible and impermanent. So we could all use a reminder of that here in the world. We've chosen to love and to defend what we fashioned, what we made, projected. These thoughts were made, projected, wholly without God. Only our loving thoughts, the thoughts we think with God, are true. That is the thought system of the Holy Spirit, which we're invited to accept here. We're invited to choose this. We're invited to choose truth instead of illusion. So why is A Course in Miracles a direct approach? The Holy Spirit looks at the foundation of illusion of everything that we've made, that we've wrought, and simply dismisses it, looks right past it and dismisses its foundation as wholly and completely untrue. Simple. There is no world. It says it here in A Course in Miracles. In fact, Jesus refers to this as the central teaching of A Course in Miracles. So if you have ever wondered why more people aren't studying and practicing this, well, how many people are ready to accept that this is a dream? This too. Who's ready for that? And perhaps you are, and perhaps you have been. So, yeah, welcome aboard. This is a dream. A Course in Miracles is far from the only spiritual tradition to posit this. This is an idea that runs throughout spirituality. Those of you who are familiar with Buddhism and Eastern philosophy will recognize the statement that this is a dream. Oh, it is a dream. It's illusion. The Holy Spirit, in this direct approach, looks at the very foundations of the world and dismisses all of it. And we're invited to let the Holy Spirit take control. We're invited to relax and trust its guidance. We're invited, in fact, to question the very foundations of everything we now believe. This language also appears in the Course, in the introduction to the workbook for students, where Jesus invites us to do just that. I invite you to do just that. Question everything, yeah, of course. Question the very foundations of everything you now believe. There is no death. The Son of God is free. That's a prominent idea from this course. I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. That is a lesson from the workbook that is so prominent and so important that it appears 20 consecutive times at one point. This is a completely different thought system than that of the world. So if you wonder why more people aren't here watching this video, well, there are plenty of other videos out there. And right now, it appears that there are a lot of people that aren't going to adopt this. You can't expect them all to be beating down your door in rapt interest, right? At some point, as you've not only heard, but also responded, thank you very much on behalf of all of us, to the call of our inner teacher, at some point, you have formulated the thought that, man, there's just got to be more to it than this, than our daily lives, than feeding and clothing the body and checking our email, which never ends. Of course, there's more to it. We're invited to question the very foundations of everything we now believe. Now, here in the world, our resistance is of the ego, and we're prone to attack in our confusion and delusion. We're prone to attack a direct approach like A Course in Miracles, thinking it threatens us. Remember, we identify with the ego. If the Holy Spirit looks at the foundations of the ego's thought system and simply dismisses it, we're apt, identifying as an individual, as an ego, a self-sustaining survival unit, we're apt to perceive this as a direct affront, as an attack. What happens when we feel attacked? Well, we project, we attack back. This is a direct approach. The foundations of what we call the world are not true. Case dismissed. We're invited to set them aside and look beyond. So, what's beyond? Well, who we really are, who you are, the Son of God, which, by the way, is singular. All of us are included in this, it's all inclusive. The Son of God, also known here in A Course in Miracles as the extension of God. God extends himself, love extends itself. And that's why only the thoughts we think with God are true. Because God is truth. God is the only reality. All else is illusion. That's a direct approach. So, no small wonder that not everyone appears interested, but you are. So, that should tell you something. Not that you're better than anyone else. This course is not better than any other tradition. There are no comparisons to be made. There is no separation of any kind. This is a direct approach. Will everyone take the direct approach? Well, right now, certainly not. I mean, consider that A Course in Miracles was dictated in the 1960s and 1970s. So, relative to most of the other spiritual traditions that appear to exist here, it's really new. It's relatively recent. So, not everyone can be expected to beat down your doors because you're practicing it and want to know more. Now, you may have people that are very curious about that. So, I invite you to send them here if you feel that they might benefit from discussions such as these, because I'm here to serve as a guide and to help. So, when someone chooses to be deceived, they're going to perceive something like this as a direct affront and an attack. And if you perceive it as such, so be it. The truth is, we're all going to awaken. And here's something else that is very important to recognize as a practical matter. There are many doors in spirituality. What's very, very interesting is that A Course in Miracles, being just one of many doors, is a self study curriculum. So it is not a religion nor a cult. The world does not need another one of those in any way. There is no hierarchy, and this course does not posit itself as superior to anything. It rather teaches that there are no gradations. There is no superior nor inferior. That is a comparison. It is a separation idea, and there is no separation of any kind. The Holy Spirit will follow this perfectly logical conclusion. We have only to allow Him to teach us, to show us. Let your inner teacher show you who you really are. Because I know you know. All right. So, hmm, again, no one ever said this was shallow. It's definitely not that. So, to the extent that questions arise, that is 100% understandable. Because, after all, we're invited, should we choose to practice this course, we're invited to question the very foundations of everything we now believe, leaving no stone unturned. Yeah, pulling out all the little dark pockets of things that we'd like to keep to ourselves and little forms of hatred for so and so and so and so. And well, I'm willing to do this, but yeah, not that. Yeah, not that. That too. Bring it to the lights. You know, questions are bound to arise. So, to the extent that you have them, please feel welcome to leave them here. This is designed here, the comment thread here on YouTube is a safe space for you. So, we've had a number of excellent questions for discussion. And if you've got one, please feel welcome to leave it. The more basic it is, the more you should leave it. For sure. Yeah, because as I mentioned at the outset, those of us that have been practicing this material for decades will benefit from the apparently most basic question. Because it might be that 1,000th time that somebody hears something that boom, that light goes on. I mean, you could, through typing in a simple question, alter the trajectory of people around the world whom you'll never in person meet. It's pretty powerful. And even if you would simply like to pop in and say hello, please feel welcome to do that as well. So I'd love to have you subscribe and join us. Thank you to those of you who have recently joined us. This is the prompt over here in the corner. Click that arrow, hover over that, and subscribe and join us. There are several videos that appear each week here. And again, questions are most welcome if you've got them. I will talk to all of you very soon.